Back 6, 7, 8. Um, back. I lost all those questions, and now there's an echo. I don't know how to fix it here.
William, how about this question?
Yeah.
How does the Chinese stimulus impact the company? Since everybody's crazy about it going to temporary, what is it? What is he feels going to be the most direct impact? That's a good
Okay.
one, right?
Yeah. No echo. Much better. Try this again. So, everybody, your questions or your comments or your criticisms or your appreciations are all gone. You have to start over. I can't read them. So now they can hear. Awesome. So that's a good strategy. Just turn it off and start again. That's about. I know Ham is still comfy. I don't know. Ham's down in his basement watching football match, Lions versus Bears or something. Dear CEO, Justin asked, Dear CEO, can the technology for the emergency vehicle systems be used in private sector applications?
I think that question will be answered if we why did you need a light? One time event or growing up something like that. I think that would be right. I don't know.
No, it's not a bad one. Uh, you know, there's automobiles now in the United States that track everything you're doing with your hands and everything. So maybe there is an application in private industry, but yeah, I can ask Justin. I wrote it down.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying. I think like what? Why did you need the license? To me, what did you? Is it make a press release that they're the only ones with this license? The major thing, like what? Why did you need this license? If we made a stick about it, that's the thing you made a stick about it.
What do you think the price of DJT will be when Trump wins?
I have to tell you, just think, spoke to a couple of people this weekend about that. We all said the same thing. This guy knows the value of money. He has people watching DJT. They know what's going on. When he wins, do you think he's going to go lightly on all these people? I can't believe they're still playing games. The wild claims tells me how bad they're trapped, how desperate they are to try to get out.
Hmm,
I think this thing could be enormous. Couple $100
it's enormous.
but there's so much algorithm trading that's hard to track. Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. That's why trading motion is very easy to track. It's just throwing super slow motion. We all get to watch super slow motion.
Um, where did it where did it close in terms of strike prices on Friday? They wiped out all the call premium, right?
They wipe them all. They have to close it for 31 something, up a dollar something.
So that'll be gone Monday morning.
So they did everything for everyone.
On the long side.
And just think about that as far as the equity market. Right. Hey, Martin, did the company approve? Did the company have to give approval to have options trading on the company?
I don't think they do.
Of course they don't. I'm just curious if he knows. Is there any way to get option trading? get rid of it. The company's small enough. Why would you need option trading? The stock is an option. Why do you need option trading on a stock?
Why do you need high speed nanosecond trading on a stock that trades by appointment otherwise?
Right.
You
This
know?
stock, I'm telling you, could trade 40,000 shares a day. That could be a big day if it was normal.
Oh yeah, I mean, the whole thing. Is Gerald wants to know: are you looking for a gap up tomorrow on BJT?
I can't believe they gapped it down. How's that?
So it's
Do you realize what they're doing? These
making money.
youngsters, they're doing everything they can to steal what they can. 2 days before this guy could possibly, most likely, get president of that. And I mean, they're still trying to rob the bank while he's standing there watching. If it was me and I was becoming president, these guys would be roasted alive when I become president. I would send in everyone I can to get everyone sold a share of stock and have them arrested immediately. And that's what I can't believe that these guys are playing the game with it. They're trying to assassinate it. He has the data. They were shooting. They were doing it before. You name it. Do you think he's going to take it lightly on them? The good thing is that he cannot just go after those guys. He has to go after all. And that includes accumulation of emotion or CBM or whatever it may be. It's going to be open season on making sure.
If finger squeezes, how high can it?
I think finger is going to be very like an HKD squeeze. The reason is because everyone is educated. Because on a Sunday night, we have people joining in that want to educate. I don't know how many people are here.
There were more before, but I turned it off, so I don't. But
It doesn't make a difference. I don't think it's one
yeah,
or
exactly.
200. It doesn't make a difference. Everyone understands what's going on.
Yeah.
And the difference is when DJT pops up, what do I tell people to do in DJT? Buy the dip, sell the rip, right?
I guess this is, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I think that buying the dip and selling the rip in DJT is a good way to earn a living. I don't think it's going to be you'll be able to stake this. It's a $50 stock already. $40, $50. Finger motion, when it starts to go, you will have a clear sign yourself to see what's going to happen here. You'll understand it. When the stock goes to 30, are you going to panic out? You see DJT just go from $12 to $57. All right. If you know finger motion is in play, and you know the president is going after the short sellers, are you going to be in a race to sell it? I don't believe I would.
Right.
We all think it's 230 million. Well, let's take it away. Let's make it 100. Not at 130 million shares. Right? If the stock's trading 30,000 shares a day, 50,000 shares a day is almost selling. You saw Root go the other day from 40 to 120.
Right.
I posted it was up 40 or $50 on 100,000 shares. That's what I expected. That's the time. That's the same thing that happened in AD. As you remember, it was going up on very little volume. It was going up hundreds of dollars on very little volume. When they stopped selling, they have to cover, and they can't hold it down at very steady best. What happened? Once you take your foot off the landmine, it blows up. Right? That's what's going to happen, and that's why finger motion is very different. And GameStop, going back to 2020, I knew about the shorting GameStop. Not many people were talking about it. I was probably one of the top guys talking about it. And people still couldn't believe when it got over 100, they were all selling it because they didn't believe how high it could go. And I could see what happened with how big these shorts are. GameStop had new people coming in and old people getting out, new people coming in and old people getting out. I think in finger motion, I think that the investors that are here are going to be strong, and I think the new people coming in will take out anybody who's weak. And I think that's going to be a very small crowd. And I do think that people that have owned it and have sold it will be coming in charging back in. And I think that between new buyers and the old ones coming back to buy more or get back into it, create a real frenzy at the game weekend. People love to buy momentum, but that's the problem. And the shorts know that. That's why they keep trying to hold it down. They nickel and dime, so there's no momentum. That's what they keep doing. But that's going to end.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask this question, but I think it's a good one. I'll ask him if it's like OnStar in our automobiles, if that's how it works, this technology.
I don't know. I don't have OnStar.
Yeah, it's because you're driving a Model T.
I'm getting it right on my chest. So excuse me, I'm just trying to stretch it.
Is Patrick Byrne hiding in the Middle East?
He's hot somewhere, that's for sure. You can tell he's got his little groovy shirts on all the time. So he's hanging out.
Or is that I don't understand this question. Is that to protect him from the crooks or just to keep him safe until Trump is
I
elected?
think he's safe until things are in the office.
Right. Uh, Marlon thanks you for answering his question, which I think you do. Can I Randy asks, can I sell a stock and buy it back the same day? Yes, but if you didn't pay for it in the first, if it's not settled funds, some brokerage firms will hit you with a restriction on future trading. So just make sure that the first trade is paid for. I don't. It's weird what they do to you. It used to be that was no problem. I've noticed sometimes if you sell and buy it again before settlement, you might be screwed up. But what is settlement now?
Just one day. Listen,
It's just one day.
basically, listen, you want to become a day trader. Day trading gives you leverage and big pool of money. If you have a lot of money,
So do you have to indicate that you are a day trader on your account now?
well, no, you have to have the capital.
Yeah, you have to have the capital.
That's all it is.
But yes, you can. You can buy a stock and sell it. And if you're establishing a tax loss, you want to wait 30 days. But
If you buy a stock and it raises up, do not do not hesitate. Take the profit. Don't worry about the moving violation. Worry about it.
exactly, absolutely. If you buy a stock, even if they say that you have to wait a day, if it goes from 2 to 30 and you want to sell, just sell. Don't think of yourself. Think of making money before you.
That's all you have to worry about. Don't worry about what they think. Just take your money. I'll give you the famous story. A friend of mine, Rhonda, she lived in Kentucky.
Help me, help me, Rhonda.
She was a very, very smart girl, and she got in a company. I can't remember the symbol of it. It was, I think, it was some sort of shipping company. And it went from like $3. It was 110. I think she had 100,000 shares.
C container, C container.
No, I think it was TNT. I think the symbol was. I can't remember. And she was up $100. And she didn't want to sell it, but she didn't want to pay capital gains tax. We all know how it was right?
Well, she didn't have to pay short-term capital gains.
That's for sure. The stock got crushed. She got wiped out. And I couldn't believe that she did something. We can't get stuff. No, good. Don't worry about it. She's definitely.
Which is, and we don't have to talk about it now, but it's one silver lining in losses. I'll just talk for myself. Losses that I have, I can take some short-term gains and I can offset them against the losses. So I don't have to.
Work with, I can't advise you on that.
Yeah, I can't either. That's a good point. other place. Let me see what. I'm sorry I hung up. I didn't see all the questions. Are you at? You talked about the gap, mind the gap. Rosa had to go, but she thanked you. Donna's considering BJT, but she's going to stick with finger because accumulation is the key.
DJT is in full bloom. I can't tell you, it could be up 50, it could be down 10, and then you can go down 10 in the morning and then go up 50 in the afternoon.
So it's very
You know,
dangerous.
it's a crazy. That's why I said hide the dips, sell the rips, and the dips are different. The dips are, we always say catching a falling knife is very difficult. That's what this is. Always said number one, William. Number one, the easy money's made. Now it's tough. I always say that to you guys. The first, when you got in, if you bought it below 25, a number, 25, 20, 18, 50, it's been all over the place drifting down. And I was standing there every day saying, buy the dip, it's going to turn. We got 60 days, 40 days, 50 days. And what happened? It took off. And when it took off, I had people selling. I started selling at 42. The highest we sold it was 55. Buying it back, everything we bought back was below 40, 37, 35, all the way down.
Right.
I didn't buy it. It was 32, 31 on Friday. We stopped. So buy the dip, sell the rip, but it's a professional thing now. So that's, there's other things to look for. I got it. Everybody wants to buy something that's Bruce Lightning. You want to buy it at 10 o'clock in the morning at $31 and you want to sell it at 10:35 at $75. We all want to do that. I got it. The best way to do it, unfortunately, is by cheap calls and not look at it. You buy $5,000 worth of options, that's the most you can lose. That's.
Can I sell BJT and buy it back the same day? Yes, you can.
Yes.
If you bought it and your cash has not cleared and you do that, you're going to get a notice from your broker saying, oh, you day traded, and they're going to say you can't do it again for 90 days. Nothing bad will happen.
You get 3 moving violations. I've seen friends of mine after me, they've had them at Fidelity, where they got their first violation, they did it again. And the second time I advised them, I said, you got a stock that you bought this morning, at $6. One guy told me it was like 9 something pre-market. I forgot the symbol. I screamed at him to sell it. He did. And the stock dropped back down to 6 and he bought it back. So he sort of gave him a violation, but he couldn't sell it. After he sold it and he bought it back, he wasn't allowed to sell it. He had to wait to sell it again.
If the sun.
And I told him if it bounced back up, sell it again. Take the violation. What are we going to do?
If the sun rises in the east, there will be one day left. That's like Chauncey Gardner.
Oh, he's my favorite. In spring, the garden will grow. He's brilliant.
I'll ask you this because I'm going to be very neutral going forward. I'm not going to answer questions in an elaborate way. Clark still owns shares of GTII. Do you think anything will happen with it?
Yes. Well, we have to wait. We can't do anything about it. There's a receiver. He's cleaning it up. He's been appointed by the court. The big investors in the company are, thank God, have put up money and paid the lawyers and everything to throw out management. They throw out management. There's companies that want to merge into GTI. I know of one. The guy's developed a Bloomberg terminal. I don't know if the receiver accepts it. It's not up to me. They've been in contact with them, and hopefully they can get it done. But we can't. Nobody can trade the stock until it gets listed on the exchange again. So I believe that guy is working on getting audited financials. And once it gets going, then we'll start to see action. There's 500 million shares short. I put up a post the other day about it. Never forget it. The SEC, the DTC, the courts all told us that there's a naked short in the stock. We're not making believe it's right there. You saw right out of the court documents. So I do believe yes. I think if everything worked out and they got the stock trading again, the audited financials in, and I think if this Bloomberg thing comes in, I can see the stock going back to $5 and $10. But all those things have to happen in the middle of it all. So basically, because there's nothing I can do about it. I have no control over it. And I think that the trading is seeing is only so don't pay attention to it and don't get involved in it. That's why I got it. You know, when Rick happened, everybody will talk about it, that the audits had been done, and they'll start saying things about it. Just hanging there waiting for that.
Mark more than tripled his money. But the stock at 2, sold it at 7. Um, I've never heard of it. VSTE. But don't get distracted, but go buy it because he doesn't know anything about it. We don't either.
I just listen. The stock. Listen. I study certain stocks, and I study them for reasons. I don't know what VSTE does. I'm studying a stock that I bumped into by accident. I thought it was a big play in China, which turns out it is. But then it bumped into naked short sellers. That's the whole gist of this whole thing. So instead of just guessing on it, I studied it all, and I studied it for a couple of years. I understand naked short selling better than most people. I see it. I know how they operate. I know how they think. I do not know how to move things around. I'm not part of the criminal organization. I don't know if Jeff Easton has an account in Spain. I know they have accounts that do it from South America. They do accounts. You see that asshole, the guy who did the negative story, Capybara, he's in Brazil. Think about it. You could go out there to Brazil, create something, right? Right? They could write stories there. What's up? They pay you. The guy pay me cash place, and you just write negative stories and they attack it. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Then people go, well, go this, you know, how it is, how much money it is, just take it. The SPC is price for a lot.
Is the ghost family?
No.
No, I hesitate to ask you this one. But what will happen to Finger if Trump does not win?
It's going to go to zero, and everybody else is going to have to go work at Dunkin' Donuts. Nothing's going to happen. I told you before, this company does business in China. I personally think they have opportunities to move if they have to. I don't think they would be adverse to moving. I would be adverse because if I'm the CEO of the company and I like this thing, why would I stay in this slump to keep getting robbed? So they're very aware of what's going on. Let's leave it at that. And I told you before, the shorts tried to, Pat Burns said it. I just have to go find that video where Pat Burns talks about how the shorts were pulling up the suppliers for overstock, and they were trying to get him discredited, shut down. These guys can't do that in China. They can't, you know. That's a good question for Martin. Hey, Martin, could the short sellers call up the Chinese government and try to get you guys to lose contracts? Is it possible? Ask him. He's going to sit there. You can't even fly to China. How are you going to get there to shut down the Chinese government against your companies?
That's actually a strength. That's a strength of Finger is the shorts can't interfere with their contracts.
At all. And I'm sure Munich Re is not going to give up data that is so important to their business. Life insurance, car insurance, whatever it may be, whatever insurance they're selling, they need that data of the 1.5 billion people. They want to know whether you're eating broccoli with him or if you're drinking alcohol all day.
So the
At least
shorts
I
are
know how
here
it is.
to help us, right? Just to protect us from,
They're our friends. They're our friends.
yeah. And, stocks just go up and down. I mean, get over it.
My favorite thing about the short sellers, they always tell everybody, we need them because none of us know how. The gentleman who just sold BSTE, he bought it and sold it. He did. The short sellers must have called him up and told him to sell it because he wouldn't know how to do that.
No, you need them just to
We
keep
need
it
those
all
guys.
clean,
He wouldn't know how to sell it. That guy. What are you
No,
kidding me?
no, you need them.
What do I do? My stock's up $5. Should I sell it? Let me call up a short seller. They'll help me out.
Um, let's see. Do you think, go easy on this guy, but this guy's held GameStop and AMC 3 years for AMC, 2 years for GameStop. You think anything will ever? I, I'm gonna just
I
leave.
think
I'm
they're
not gonna
doing
answer it.
I think they're doing everything in their power to push game. I mean, I just see social media on stock and the pushing of it. That's why I decided to sell the rip. There's a lot of
Well,
that
there's
in,
volume. That's a good point. You can trade it.
right? That's
But you don't sound like a trader. You're like a diamond hand. I
yeah.
don't
You
think
know,
you should
listen
be
here.
diamond hand.
Let me just give him a whatever. Like,
All right.
let's say he owns 1,000 shares. I have no idea. When the stock goes up, say like this thing was at 23 something in the morning. When it goes up like that, sell 500. At the end of the day, it came back down to unchanged because we're back to 500. So if you owned it at 30, you just made yourself $1. You make some money. Now you own it at 29. It does it again. You could, it's done it 40,000 times already. If you just look, I know people look for 10-point moves because you're trained to see that. But these $1.25 moves, $1.30 moves are massive. Sometimes you get that twice in a day. You can sell it and buy it back. You don't have to sell it all. Don't give it all away. Hold on to half of it. Sell 30%, sell 20%, but do something. Don't sell like
During that Roaring Kitty time, there were 3, 4 opportunities to sell a bit, buy it back. It's hard to do. I'm not.
no, it's not. Just sell it.
I know for you it's easy. You do it. You sell it. But
Don't think about it. Say, hey, you know what? My job with that gentleman who owns AMC GameStop, your job is to get yourself out of this thing as even as possible. I don't know if you're
right,
upside down. I don't know if you're profitable. I have no idea.
right,
I help people at DJT that purchased it before I was even doing a countdown. And, from $60 down, I had people littered in it. And I help people drop their average cost by 10, 12, $15. Just by buying the dips down the river. 50 cents. They get $1 every day on Sunday.
that's it's kind of like going. It's kind of playing defense instead of offense. You were going for this, Hail Mary pass, win the game. But now you got to do it in 1 yard, 3 yard. I'd say I can't talk football. You got to do the short plays that have higher odds of success.
Everybody knows a lot of people are doing exactly what we're trying to describe it to. That's why you see it get going, all of a sudden it starts up a bucket of corn. And at the end of the day, it's not. Because everybody's looking for somewhere, everyone's looking for short term profit. So
Right.
when it's moving is when you sell it. You do not sell it while it's drifting back down because otherwise you're just wasting your time.
Right.
So you sell half of it, so if it's gonna drive you crazy, if it ever does go, at least you got half of it. But your job is to get yourself even, get your ass out of this trade that's upside down on you. Because no one's gonna feel bad for you.
No. And
Wall Street doesn't give a shit.
it'll
Yeah.
someday it'll go dead in trading and you won't have that opportunity, or it'll be a huge success or whatever. But GameStop, to me, fundamentally, I mean, I know you can put dreams in there, but it should be selling at a discount to its cash. The management's not that bright. It's just hedge fund guy. But it's I don't know what that is, $8. I calculated it once. But the hype is still in there. Trade the hype, trade the volume, and don't be hard on yourself
The
if you
CEO is silent about the short squeeze. Silent. The CEO got busted to squeeze best of them and beyond, and he sold into the hype. I left everybody in there. He sold out, so the SEC went after him for that. And it's funny that the SEC settled with him right after he took all the money and did those transactions with the short sellers
in this stock.
and GameStop.
Yeah, so that's a quid pro quo.
So it looked to me like he was told, "Hey, you do this, get rid of this, so we don't have to hear about it, and we'll make away your investigation go away." That's what I think. That's what I believe
That
happened.
makes a lot of sense.
That I said that 1,000 times. And for the people in GameStop, the company sold 140 million shares. Who? Not one person ever said that they bought it. Zero.
That's a violation of privacy. They shouldn't have
Now,
to say.
that tells you that the shorts. That tells me that the shorts are the ones that bought it because it was an investor like Warren Buffett or Carl Icahn. If they bought that percentage, they would tell the world, "Hey, we bought that stock. We're going to talk 4%, 3%." There's no one.
Because it's the big wash arena. And everyone makes their money in, out, suing. Everybody makes money on the carcass of these financial disasters.
That's what I think people are trying to understand now, which I've been trying to say, is that everybody makes money trading. Not everybody makes money holding on to positions. All right.
That's good.
GameStop has been a trading stock for the ages. But the swings are getting less and less. Before it was $8, $10 swing. Now you get a buck 50. It's like a big move. But at the end of the day, the stock always seems to drift back down. And that tells me that the stock is a weak. Everybody's looking to do one thing. Buy it, sell it, look for someone to take them out. And they're really not there.
It's interesting if you think about that. I don't know about right now, but back when everyone was telling you to be a diamond hand, and I'm not judging because it's hard to sell, but when you start believing your own spit. But it's interesting. They froze the retail clients into inaction, and then they could trade against that.
There you go.
Right?
That's a great term. That's what they did. They put everybody on the shelf,
Right.
and these guys can move stocks up and down, and no one's doing it.
And they know they don't have to worry about that player. That they're in the bleachers. They're not doing anything. They're off the field. I don't know. It's a pretty clever schemer they have, but they're not any brighter than you are.
Become like Wall Street.
Be like that they are.
$1 a day keeps the doctor away. That's all you have to understand.
Not my doctor.
You nickel and dime them every day. Take your profit before you know it. You're making 2,000-3,000 a day. It's 15,000 a week. It's 40,000 a month. You can't even spend that money when you're not doing that.
It takes dedication to be a day trader, though. Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to do it anymore. I did it for a long time. I do not want to spend this time. I do not want to.
It's yeah. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to catch the move. You have to recognize it. Boom, boom, and you can't be perfect. You get 60% of the move, 40% of the move, as long as it's profitable.
He was going. I was waking up to all this at 7 in the morning, making sales pre-market.
Yeah, you're good.
I had people making sales in the aftermarket, pre-market, and they were like, "Oh, stop! You want to do 20%?" I never know when it's higher. You gotta go for it.
And then if it keeps going up, you just got to say, well, something. You had to leave something for the next guy. but you move on to the next play, and
I
that
keep saying that, uh, DJT moved away from me, right? Everyone thought it was gonna go that day.
I know, and then it comes down. So you were
And then
right.
it came back down. I
Yeah.
said, "We loved it before. Oh, we're gonna love it again," right?
Well, and you said something earlier. Everyone trades momentum. It's I think it's Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger, but it's the only market where people want to overpay. If you go to Walmart, you'll race to the aisle 9 to get a discount on, I don't know, dog food. But in the stock market, nobody wants to pay the discount. But that also goes to what you always say, Ham. You have to be educated. Part of educated is just paying attention, knowing your stock, knowing how it trades, ebb and flow, knowing the story, knowing it's not going to go to zero, so that you can make a decision in the heat of the moment. That's what
Well,
happens.
that is 100%. And we're lucky that we have a CEO that reached back out to Wayne when he asked, willing to sit down and have a quick call, tell us whatever he can tell us, right?
Well, I'm going to ask him, and I'll probably listen to his other video to see where he said it. But I'm also going to ask him when he thinks earnings will turn positive. But more importantly, when will they turn positive forever? In other words, when will it be predictably positive from here to the end of time as far as the company is concerned? And I think that if I remember correctly, I think that's in his third or fourth quarter, which would be our fourth or first quarter. So call it, I don't know, end of January, February, March. Maybe April we'd find out. I don't know, something like that. Or sooner. I'll ask him though. I'll see if I can get an answer.
I thought he said that he was going to have his first month accurate.
Well, if it happens in January, that would be his fourth quarter, and it would be reported 45 days at the end. So that'd be the end of February. That'd be April, May. That'd be May 15th to be reported.
So that's why we got my friend Rob that
Yeah.
the company starts driving the revenue is profitable because
He seemed to know what he was talking about, unlike
he's a 30-year vet. He's a good guy. A lot of good companies. And he said it point blank. Once the company goes to the black, short story, gone. There's no reason to be around it, and they just pull. That's
what he said. Once it goes in the black, it never goes back.
not whatever.
Can't make that. Can't make that joke funny. But in today's world, it's whatever. Um, let's see if there's any questions. Um,
That's the way. If you have questions for the CEO, please ask. Again,
oh, this guy, I guess I'm going to say this is a positive. He's pointing out that fingers just limited China. China is the single largest market in the world, particularly if our dollar goes down by 50%. Uh,
well, listen, I think that we had I spoke to the CEO one time. It's either China or you can do business in Maine. What do you want?
I think the expansive market of southern Mongolia. I think that's where I want to focus.
I
There's
think they spoke about
tents there that I can
I
sell.
think they spoke about Asia. A lot of countries in Asia.
Why wouldn't you just stay where you're in the world's biggest market, and growth
Right.
market, and you have a link, clearly have a link to the government, and the market's rigged in the sense it is capitalism, but the government has 5-year plans, and so the government is priming the pump every year to meet their targets. Why wouldn't you just stay there?
Anyway, that's good. Another question.
Yeah.
How did they get trust with the Chinese? What did they do? trusted the Chinese
I
government. And
think.
I think he said,
All right, I'll try to find out. My guess is it's that uh, large investor who's a woman, Ling Ling or Ping Ping. My guess is it's the woman is the key ingredient of trust and
I
of
think
power.
the Chinese government, I remember saying this a long time ago, that once they trust you and you do the job,
Yeah.
as long as you do not screw it up, you will be good. You're good forever. Meaning that they don't. The Chinese government he said this is not our crazy. The Chinese government doesn't like change. So if they find a system that's working, the Chinese government will never change.
Neither does
Unless people go
McDonald's.
fraud. They don't like to change things. And that's what the telecom business. I remember him saying that maybe 4 years ago. That the Chinese government likes what they're doing everything proper. This is where they look to get the SMS. This enabled them to get the data. This enabled them not that how
Um,
good question about the Chinese government. As long as you perform, the Chinese government seems to be happy or give you more things because they trust you in your conversation. I guess that's how it works.
yeah, I, I would say that's right. Um, what is your sentiment on DJT for tomorrow or market? Because there's an open gap to the downside around
And there's an open
$10.
gap to the upside.
You think
If
they'll
you're
come?
not be short it, how long?
I think it'll depend on how the polls look, but I got to tell you, somebody just made a $3 million or $30 million bet in poly markets on Trump. Over from Friday to now, they're making huge bets on the long side for Trump to win. I don't know if that rolls over to the stock
I think that betting on the president, I don't believe that happened.
market. They never allowed it. Yeah.
I think that there's further to go through, and that he's just really great put ahead.
Ah, see, you're a
I think
thinker.
there's something going on there. Buying the win, they're doing something else.
Could the hedge be the CIA?
I don't know where something is being ended. It's just all of a sudden they allow training and futures on who's going to be the and that never happened before. And that globalized contract broke. I don't trust that.
I don't know if this guy is serious or not. He said DJT will go to 58 tomorrow, and then he writes not. I don't know. I actually think that's the target if it goes up, is right around.
If it goes screaming and goes long, you make it sell.
Let's get the hell out.
If you buy calls, if you buy this 6, you make 10 points or 20 points, you say, okay, I make $20, I put 1,000 shares for 20,000. I'm going to buy 10 calls for $5, $5,000, and I own 1,000 shares. It goes to 300 minus 65, and then that's 1,000. If it gets wiped out, you don't have to worry about it. You're not losing 5,000 or 5,000 of the profit.
Worried, my dog. Um, what is your sentiment? Okay.
Listen, I'm bullish always. I'm a firm believer Trump is going to wipe it out. I think it's too. All you have to do is look at the arenas where Trump is speaking. There's massive crowds. I know it was done before. Besides the massive crowds, everyone knows that they're trying to self-balance all these different things that they were doing. All this stuff is under a watchful eye. No one's letting that happen anymore. Right? So these guys are trying, they're getting busted, and I just think that this is much. And Harris had event, there's 150 people there. And most of the people that they pay to go to this. Right? So it's going to be a wipeout. People are going to be amazed, and that's how I feel. And I think this stock is going to go to the world.
What
Let me
advantage?
just
Yeah,
say this one thing about Trump.
yeah,
This is how short thing is. I get up to the moon, two shorts in it, bigger planets, all the shorts got roasted up to 57. Let's say he's Ken Griffin. He came in and smashed the shit out of it back down. He shorted it at 50, always up to 57. He smashed it back down. Now he has to cover. All right, so what? Oh, the first year they got crushed. Now we have a new one. Now he's shorted 30. He has to turn around. He has to cover. When he starts running, maybe those guys who shorted it got covered at 57. They come back and they try to short it again. So this is how shorts work. They spike them up, they kill other shorts, they crush it, and then they got to come back and cover it up. That's what I told you. While volatility is what do you think? Volatility. I told you that.
right.
I don't like once it gets into volatility. I can play volatility. It's hard to be educated people on how to trade volatility. It's very difficult.
Right.
Because you got to be on your toes not every minute, every second. Because there's a trade. You can turn around and stock to be 32. You can turn your head to stop 36 minutes. You go, oh my God, it's 36 minutes, and then turn around and second it's 32 again. Now, on something like that, when it goes 32, 36, whack it out, buy it back. Something has to do something. That's trading. That's what everybody's doing. We're not sitting around cheering it on. We're here trying to make money.
Mhm.
For those that are upside down in it, I would advise you to learn how to do that because you can lower your cost.
So with finger, this
Finger
this
is a different stock. Let me just talk about the trading of Finger. Finger does not have the institutional ownership in it, as these other names have it. Finger does not have the hedge funds that are in here trading.
right,
The Finger hedge funds will come in once the momentum starts. The shorts start to panic.
right.
That's like you see stocks. They close at $2, they open up at 4. That's what happens. These things happen all the time. Oh, you're full of shit. They're every day we see them. I just watched the roof the other day go 40 to 120. And when they got to 120, what happened? The shorts that were there got wiped out. They covered. Once they stopped covering, what did I do? It dropped like it's up to 63. What happened is 63? The new short on the old short side, right?
Yeah.
They started covering 60, 63. Bounced back up to 75. There was a big trade there. But think about it. Stock went 40 to 120, 120 to 63. That was the 2 days. That whole and the SEC is always concerned about short squeezes. Well, they happen right under their nose. They don't pay attention to any of it.
Mhm. We don't. So why is finger motion involved in data collection and manipulation and creation of products when they could just, the people who collect the data could just do it themselves?
Yes, because I mean the telecoms.
Yeah, the telecoms or the government or
Because I think
the insurance
I
companies.
think the government has to count the telecom.
Right.
I think the government allows to get access to this data. First, they a number with a symbol, a big ball like bingo. And they call them out and say, oh, give it to Fingerboard. There's 8,000 companies. Let's let Fingerboard can get this wonderful data that they can sell to the world. We just discussed that it's illegal or not what's there despite the Chinese government.
I think it's also that there's more than one telecommunications company. The data is collected anonymously. So he's able to use three different databases, not just one. And they have scientists. He's talked about it. They've set up laboratories. They have scientists and mathematicians creating these algorithms. If they're worth something, they're worth something. If they're not, they're not. I don't think it's just that people who sell minutes as their business are going to be able to do the data themselves. I think that question
They
is
work with the actuaries, the people that work with the insurance companies that
it's all with the eye, and that's on the insurance side. But
right,
you
they
know what?
work with the insurance companies to decide what data they need, what they want to see, and how they're gonna charge. You said that 1,000 times.
Why does Google need? Why do advertisers need Google to get our information and then they can target it? I they just do it themselves. That's just a very facile sentence.
It's pretty
Um,
easy, just Google data. Everyone says data is gold. That's what they always say.
data, data, and the analysis of it and the predictability. So this guy's asking about Northwest Bio. My feeling on Northwest Bio, once they get approval and that revenue stream can be verified, you're going to have more than one buyer, be it Gilead Sciences or Johnson and Johnson, and they'll bid on and they'll sell the company at $80
So
or
if
$40.
I was to wait, if you wanted to buy it 30 cents, whatever it is, buy a little bit, and if the news flow comes in, you know about it, you can start into it. So don't just
I,
go buy it
yeah,
in.
exactly. Don't you have plenty of time to buy it, unless there's an announcement the next day and the buyer comes in. Well, at least you have a small position. And I was trained. You want to try to define how much you want, and then you get 10% of your position. Or I have a quarter position. We're waiting for the stock to pull back. And if it does, we'll have half our position. But if it runs away from you, you just didn't ever get your 100%. You got a quarter of it. But that stock's not a tradable stock yet.
If you want to buy a hundred, just be aware that if they don't have the approval yet on the contract, so you're getting in this speculative that, and that's why the stock is 30 cents.
Oh, God. I hesitate to ask this question. This guy thinks Finger is outdated GPS and iPod. It's not even worth it. You're wrong. So there's state of the art data
Well, listen,
collection.
but
Yeah,
if the guy is outdated, whatever, just tell you, go along.
I just get it the hell out.
Yeah, tell it.
He's probably already sold more than he can handle.
Go trade Apple, knock yourself out, go someplace else.
Dogecoin.
I tried to give that dividend now one time, I think it was that coin.
How do we know a company like Google or Apple isn't working on doing what Finger is trying to do?
It was Google and Apple are not in China. They don't know the Chinese government like the people we think that we know those Chinese government.
Well, it's also
So
that
let me rephrase it. A good friend of mine, but you know also, he's going to Mar-a-Lago tomorrow night, all right? Because someone, and he knows, very close to Trump, okay? And got him invited in. So he's flying in tomorrow for Tuesday's event. When he wins, he'll be there. So he's only getting in because someone knows Trump really well to get this guy to go in.
right.
So imagine if we were the head of China and he's giving us these contracts because I'm very close to them. That's how things are done. In the real world, that's how a lot of stuff gets done.
Well, I think you're exactly right about that and trust and all that. But I also know that Google and Apple have much bigger things on their plate, and it's not a good use of their resources, human or cash, to focus on a startup idea. they would much rather buy finger motion for, I'll make it up, $100 billion in stock after everything is proven out and the model has gone from has gone up the hockey stick. The value creation stage is what finger motion is in right now. And it'll happen. And then Apple or Google will buy them out. But you're in it for the value creation. Yeah,
You ready?
yeah.
Can a non-Chinese company have a figure motion out? The answer is going to be no. So the only audit figure motion is going to be a big Chinese company, whether it's Alibaba, one of those big Chinese companies will eventually work. And you'll think, okay, why would a Chinese company like Alibaba go by finger motion? Well, obviously, finger motion has been blessed by the Chinese government. The people that own finger motion stock are close to the Chinese government. The Chinese government can reward them because eventually they build up this monster business, and Alibaba will buy it, and they'll make a ton of money because they did the right thing. And Alibaba wants it to describe Google. But the only buyer that I see would be a Chinese.
Yeah. Just tuning in. Has anyone said what DJT might run to? Um,
Is it trading now? Is it trading Sunday night? Sometimes it's market.
I don't know how to find that out. I don't have enough service, but
No, go to the watch the football game or watch the Vikings.
who are the Vikings playing?
The Colts.
That's another game. I wait all year for Vikings v. Colts.
My son is a Viking fan. I wanted to watch the game.
All
But
right.
I don't want to speculate about the I'll post it up in the morning once I see some activity. I can't, I have no idea what they're doing. I hope it turns up big in the morning so that people all of the dirty calls that force to exercise to find the stock, get a chance to make some money versus being taken out. I don't want to get too technical and all that nonsense.
I like this guy. This guy's probably very content. About 6 months ago, I just quit watching the stock market. My wife watches. If something happens, great. If not, I don't really care. I think that's a very healthy outlook.
Study it all day long. Complete relation because if you believe is going to happen, his wife figured out what's going to happen better than me. I can't tell if Jeff Easton went up and pick up his desk and says, hey, fuck these guys sell more. I can't tell if they're going to come around or if they're running away. You don't know.
And there's no price discovery anymore. What I will say, and I'm a guy who's done a lot of this, one would, like Ham's mother would say, what is it you do? My dad would say, how much money do people in your industry, and I hesitate to call it an industry, how much do you make? But anyway, I learned from him. I learned from him how to trade ideas, how to. So listen, I mean, it's a constant learning game. So DJT is down 2.25 overnight. That to me means it'll be up. Not in the morning, but not pre-market, but during the day.
This is all, remember, it's a hedge fund. Yes, we can sit here overnight and just keep back and forth with yourself. Just to get these, everyone think it's going to blow. This is what they do. This is what they do. We can't stop it. You can't stop it. And you're looking at it saying, oh my God, it's down. It's Sunday night. It's going lower already.
Matthew points out that Google, Apple, Amazon can't really operate in China the way a Chinese company can. That reminds me that also the government kind of went on I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, where they wanted to downsize. There were a couple of companies that like Alibaba and Tencent anyway, there were 2 or 3. They're getting too big. They wanted to spread the contracts out to smaller companies. So, are you talking with Finger this week? Well, what the commitment is is if he's able to, I will do an interview with Martin Shen tomorrow. But it sounds like if he's not able to do it on Monday, it'll it'll be this week. Uh, but
We got plenty of questions. We got plenty of things to ask. And if he can't answer them, we'll get the answers. We've asked all the
right,
questions now, and hopefully we get the answers tomorrow.
I would guess if it happens, I have a doctor's appointment in the morning, so it'd be later in the day, Monday. It could be Tuesday, it could be Wednesday. It'll be soon. It'll be soon.
Good. Anyway, listen, I'm going to go watch the football game.
All right,
Everyone have a great night, and
all
we'll
right.
see you tomorrow.
Thanks for stopping by. All right.
All right.
I don't know why that's not connecting. I'll unplug everything tonight, shut it down, start it over again, and hand thing's finger can go very high. Um, I don't think he gave a specific target, but he said it could be an HKD or a TKO or something like that. And um, I'm just gonna. He he was there for a while, hour and a half, so that's pretty late. I'm just gonna go. If there's an article here to read to you, I will. This is you can subscribe to this Jim Rickards Strategic Intelligence. I think this is the lowest subscription. Um, Comes out of Baltimore, so I have a feeling that used to be Bill Bonner, just somebody out of Baltimore years ago started publishing investment advice, and I signed up for it 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and it you make a lot of money publishing advice. Right, so he talks about the election. The next three issues of Strategic Intelligence, that's the name of Jim Records' newsletter, um, will be focused on the election uh, and I guess how that'll affect investment. Uh, the October issue will arrive late in September. I didn't see that one. Maybe that's this one, and I just got it. I don't know. Maybe he sends it to me for free after, with a lag. But anyway, I'll skip over talking about the election. We've all we've all talked about it. The problem with polling, it's a snapshot. It's not necessarily a good forecasting tool unless they're rigorous in their methodology. All right. Communist surveillance is now being used on us. All right, all roads lead to Pennsylvania. I think that's right. I think that's right. And I think actually spending half an hour in Pennsylvania. He talks about RFK, talks about the Harris campaign. That's Kamala. That's her last name. Kamala's last name is Harris. She's according to Candace Owen, her heritage, she's a Syrian Jew and she's Irish, slave, very wealthy and cruel, very cruel slave owners. And she's from the highest caste. India has a caste system. I can't remember if it's 7 or 12. The highest of the Brahmins. So Kamala Harris is descendant from the highest caste Brahmins in India, cruel slave drivers out of Ireland, and a Jewish connection as well. He ain't black, I'll tell you that. So he writes here, Jim Rickards writes, that's pretty interesting. September, this is the September issue. Ah, why did I get it now? Maybe they lag it to me as a form. Anyway. He says, let's get serious about Kamala Harris. She's not that bright and has very little experience in management, domestic policy, or foreign policy, despite having been vice president for the last 3.5 years. She's best described as an empty head in an empty pantsuit. That said, she has a real chance of winning the presidency. This is because the Democratic Party establishment, pollsters, corporate media, big tech, and big money have united in an all hands effort to point Donald Trump as a threat to everything: democracy, liberty, racial equality, diversity, you name it, and as an existential threat to everything liberal democracy holds dear. By making Donald Trump an existential threat, you make Kamala Harris the solution and the savior of democracy. Who needs policies and substance when you can have the future of democracy riding on your shoulders? So it's another basement strategy. I don't know. You guys might think that Waltz was the greatest decision ever. So the choice, the election boils down to whether the Trump campaign can make the reality clear and pop the narrative bubble. The issue for Harris is whether she can sustain her narrative and run out of the clock. Whatever. I'm not. Oil prices could soar temporarily despite a coming recession and deflation. He thinks there's deflationary trends in general. This will be another foreign policy failure for Biden, Harris. Ukraine, be prepared for chouse beyond November. Kazakhstan reignites the uranium bull market. URNM is a one-stop shop for exposure. URNM has an expense ratio of 0.83% per year. It provides exposure to large uranium miners, physical uranium trusts, and a wide portfolio of uranium juniors, mostly listed in Canada and Australia. I don't like. An international alcohol powerhouse. This 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 issue is quite anti. Whoa. The income stock he recommends is Diageo PLC. It's DEO. It's a company known for its portfolio of iconic brands. Johnny Walker, the world's best-selling Scotch whiskey. Smirnoff, a leading vodka brand. Guinness, the famous Irish stout. Tanqueray and Gordon's, popular gin brands. Bailey's, the original Irish cream liqueur. Captain Morgan, a well-known rum brand. Anyway, I don't know how much it dividend is. It pays a semi-annual dividend in British pounds. You can buy an American ADR. Over the past year, DEO investors have earned dividends of $2.51 per share and $1.62. So that's the semi-annual payments. For an annual payout of 4.13, compared to the stock price of $134, that's a 3% yield. The Fed is widely expected to cut interest rates at the end of the year. As economic data starts to weaken, the Fed may have to cut aggressively to prop up the economy. Lower interest rates make stocks like DEO more competitive. That's written by Zach Scheit. America's financial tombstone. What's he talking about? Um, Silver. He's talking about silver. So what is he going to talk about silver? Out west. This is a long article, so I'll have to save it for another time. But this is Ed Schleiflin, who explored Arizona 150 years ago. Gold, silver, copper, Montana, Idaho, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. He staked this claim and he named it Tombstone. Ah, that's an interesting story. Well, let's get to the modern day. It's a tourist town now. All right, here's some silver. I'm sure she's not here. I think it was Susan asking. Here's some silver investment ideas. Um, Today, yeah, this is short. It's only two, it's a column and a half. Today, the United States government is deeply in debt. Every day, week, month, quarter, the government issues dollars by the billions, if not trillions, via electronics, not real metal, which means, of course, those electronic units of currency constantly lose purchasing power, while specimens of real metal hold value over time. At the level of silver deposits, people and companies that explore for metal and moil, M-O-I-L, moil it out of the ground are a special breed. You won't find many old Army scouts. So, I think this is built on. I followed as I studied silver. No, it's Byron King. I used to subscribe to his service um, and read his free one too. You should own a store of physical silver. That's junk silver, old pre 1964 dimes, quarters, and half dollars. They will retain value over time as our Fed dollars lose purchasing power. You can buy them at coin shops, on eBay, and other venues. I'll give you some ideas where you can buy them. He also says you should own silver bullion. I'll give you some ideas of that. Now the mining companies, and I think it was, I think it was, I'll talk about it again when we're not tired. Here's a few silver mining ideas for you. And one I talked about, Hecla. Hecla Mining, that's HL. I like it. It's got a market cap of $3 billion. Coeur Mining, Coeur, Heart Mining, CE, with a market cap of 2.4 billion. I don't think I mentioned that one. And then First Majestic Silver, I did, AG, with a market cap of 1.6. These companies are well known and associated with silver mining. The share prices and market caps rise and fall with the silver price, which should be a good thing in the months and years to come as the dollar deteriorates and silver retains its value. Of course, many other companies work in the silver space. Retailers beware. The winners are Walmart and Costco. All right. I'll go over that at another time. And I do want this weekend's Barons, and I'll show this. But see, I don't know when I'm going to come on tomorrow because I have a I appointment in Maryland. Hopefully, I'll get on by the afternoon. Here's the Daily Mail. Is Kamala headed for victory? See, they're putting polls that show she's winning or she's tied. So when they pull the switcheroo, the simps out there can go, well, of course, everyone hates Trump. You just have enough information out there that the sting is believable. All right, let me just read you this. One last thing. Maybe there'll be questions, maybe there won't. But in today's Barron's, I suppose it was yesterday's Barron's, there was an article. This is Barron's November 2004, an article written by Barry. And this, I think it was Doug. I don't know if Doug's here today, but Doug asked a question about the small mining company, which I don't think is going to be small very long. Um, which and obviously there's, not that's a prediction, not a promise. Still a list of implementation, and et cetera. Um, with this article would make Doug feel good, I think. The title of it is Gold Mining Stocks Are a Bargain. Gold mining stocks are a bargain. How to buy in. The prospects for miners such as Barrick Gold, Newmont, and Alamos Gold. Alamos Gold. I told you about Alamos Gold. I met the CEO. I like that guy. Alamos Gold look favorable as gold prices continue to rise. It's written by Andrew Barry. Gold is rocking again, as it did in the 1970s, when the metal was the decade's hottest investment. The same can't be, we're not supposed to use that word in financial markets, but whatever. The decade's hottest investment. The same can't be said for gold mining stocks. And this is what I'm trying to get across a lot of what I'm saying. The, the, these managers, so-called managers of wealth, they're all in the same thing. They're not rewarded to go out contra trend. They're all in the same. They want to get their bonuses by year end. So they're in NVIDIA and Apple and they're re-upping on all these, which is, they make a lot of money. But I think they lock in their bonus, once they lock in their quintile or decile rankings against other funds, they're going to start thinking about next. And you don't need a lot of money to move into mining or into oil and gas to change valuation. And Pam always says to us, when these companies are flat on their behinds and then they get up off the ground, that's the easiest money to make. And the multiples can just be gigantic. And then you're in it for the longer haul. But anyway, so Andrew Barry says gold is rocketing again, but mining stocks are not. But mining stocks deserve a closer look. A lot has been going right for gold recently. Profligate U.S. fiscal policies have led to intractable $2 trillion annual deficits, while strong demand from central banks in the developing world has helped push the precious metal to a new high. Gold traded on Friday at $2,750 an ounce, and gold has risen 33% this year. That's gold's best annual gain since 1979. Um, it's roughly double the highest cost of production out there, so a lot of money can be made. Gold miners should outperform in a gold bull market because of operating leverage. Profits ought to rise rapidly as the price of the commodity increases more than costs. That hasn't been the case. The $15 billion Van Eck Gold Miners Trust, that's a good place to start, by the way. But remember, don't trust it if everything goes to heck. But as a trading vehicle, that's a good place to start. The Van Eck Gold Miners, I think this one was GLD. In fact, I'm positive it is, but let me make sure. No, GDX, sorry, GDX. See, I'm glad I checked. So the Van Eck Gold Miners Trust is GDX. The $15 billion Van Eck Gold Miners, the top mining exchange traded fund, has underperformed the metal and is up 30%. Gold is up 33%. Van Eck Gold Miners is up 30%. It should be up more. This continues a disappointing showing for the gold miners ETF, which is still below its 2020 peak. It has even been worse for the two industry leaders, Barrick Gold and Newmont Mining, which have risen about 10% this year and are more than 30% below their record high. But the backdrop for the miners looks favorable, especially with gold potentially headed for $3,000 an ounce. Potentially. I don't think there's any question about it. Gold is heading to $3,000 an ounce. Jim Rickards is calling for gold to hit $27,000. Anyway, gold for starters is an under-owned asset. After ETFs like the $80 billion Spider Gold Trust, that's the one that is the symbol is SBLE. The 80 billion Spiders SBDR Gold Trust had their first quarterly net inflows since the 2022 third quarter. That trust, oh, I see. Gold for starters is under owned. I don't know what he's saying. He's saying that includes. I suppose it's the gold trust, the Spider Gold Trust. Includes two well-run Canadian miners, Agnico Eagle Mines. I told you about that one, which is the number three global gold producer, and the higher growth Alamis Gold, which I've told you, as well as two streaming, quote unquote, streaming companies, Franco Nevada and Wheaton Precious Metals. Little, little, why do you say will? Which contract, these two, contracted by gold and other metals over multi-year periods from producers, but they don't actually mine. The miners also offer growth, some leverage to gold prices, regular dividends. They can be had at an attractive valuation, with depressed Newmont and Barrick trading for about 11 times projected 25 earnings. The equities are not pricing in current gold prices, says Inaru Casanova, a portfolio manager at Van Eck, which also runs the Van Eck International Investors Gold Fund. They look relatively cheap. The industry does have some proving to do. Barrick, which is second to Newmont with about 4 million ounces of annual gold production, has been bedeviled by cost, production, and political. At about $20, the stock is where it stood in 2016. That's Barrick Gold. When gold was half its current price. Barrick, the company Barrick, pluses include a productive portfolio of mines led by, and here you go. This should please Doug. This should please Doug. This is exactly. There's some slight differences. Every deposit requires a different uh, process system. But uh, let's see, Barrick, the company's pluses, Barrick, include a productive portfolio of mines led by a 60% plus interest in a huge Nevada mine, which it shares with Newmont. That's the invisible gold. That's the Carlin trend. In the case of this other smaller mine, my understanding is the Carlin trend is invisible gold, but our mine is invisible gold and gold. But it's also refractory, and that adds an extra step, which has, according to the company and to my knowledge and belief, has been solved, and that's what makes it so exciting. And it makes a lot of sense. They've been working on it a long, long time. The company's pluses include this portfolio. It also, Barrick also has a balance sheet with virtually no net debt and plans to ramp up its copper production in coming years. Africa is the chief investor concern, particularly a large mine in Mali, where the increasingly anti-Western government is angling with Barrick. It's funny, I saw a presentation on oil and gas out of Mali, and the conclusion was the opposite. So that's something that's political risk. Newmont, on the other hand, the top global producer at about 6 million ounces annually, has seen its stock fall more than 20%. These two stocks, if you want to buy gold and copper and silver, you got to own these first, and they'll go to new highs. So will all the others we've talked about here. But this discount lasts in a gold bull market. It will not last. Anyway, Newmont has seen its stock fall by more than 20% since the company signaled higher costs and lower gold production heading into 2025 in its recent third quarter profit. Quote, the market is frustrated that costs are eating into margins at Newmont. The price of gold going up, says Michael Dudas, an analyst at Vertical Research Partners. But the correction in the stock is overdone. He is bullish on Newmont, the only gold stock in the S&P 500 index, and has a $60 price target. So Michael Dudas at Vertical Research has a $60 price target on Newmont. That's where your first money, if you're going in money, these kind of plays, goes from 20 to 60. But that, let me say it differently. That's where the institutional money will go first. When it gets to 60, they'll start looking at the others, but then the money will sort of cascade like a waterfall down the size waterfall. The Nico Eagle is the class act of the industry, and we read about that the other day. With 3.5 million ounces of annual production, it has a reputation for hitting production and cost targets with operations primarily in politically safe Canada, if you like custom. Quote, it has traded at a premium. See, that's interesting. It's an Agnico Eagle is trading at a premium. It has traded at a premium to the sector for 20 years. 20 years for a good reason, says Casanova. The stock at about 85 trades about 22 times projected 2024 earnings, which is a 50% premium to Newmont and Barrick. So maybe you need a bit of all three, right? But I would Newmont and Barrick are going to straighten up. They both uh, they both suffered from doing mergers and some management changes, and it's been a bear market. So I think they, and maybe one of them or most of them will buy our monster, and it'll be all Nico can do to wave at them as they pass them. Goldbug Fred Hickey calls Agnico a shining example of how a gold mining company should be run. Casanova is partial to Alamos, a mid-tier miner. I like it too. I really like the CEO. With 500,000 ounces of annual production, quote, it's executing against the plan and has an excellent growth profile, according to Casanova. The two streaming companies, Franco-Nevada and Wheaton, trade at will trade at a premium to the miners because they're insulated from cost pressures as financial entities who provide capital to miners in return for future production. Franco Nevada has returned an impressive 15% annually since its IPO in 2007 and gets about 75% of annual production from precious metals and the rest from energy. Very interesting. There is some risk in the business, highlighted by $1 billion write-down the company took last year when Panama closed the giant copper mine, which interrupted streaming. A higher growth wheat, which was that one? That was Franklin Nevada that had that write-off. The higher growth wheat, which gets nearly all of its streaming revenue from gold and silver, aims to boost its production to more than 800,000 gold equivalent ounces by the end of the decade, up from 600,000 this year. Rick Levin, a private investor, praises its well managed uh, growth, calling it the J.P. Morgan of mine finance. We, given the risk of individual miners, investors may want, my dad always hated that, may want, he hated when people do that, may want. Given the risk of individual miners, investors could choose a mutual fund or ETF. The four top stocks in Van X Miners ETF, with a combined 35% of its assets, are Newmont, Nico, Eagle, Barrick, Wheat. That's why you buy those, because as people flood into the ETFs, the ETF money will go buy them, and it's a good time while no one's looking. I think you have November, December, maybe January, and then it's going to get hot, hot, hot. Leo, 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 feeling hot, hot, hot. I brought that song back to America. I never told you that story. I played my tape of the album I bought in, it wasn't Tenerife, it was oh, Antigua. I went to before that other guy's thing. All right, I think they're going to blast DTT tomorrow. What do you mean blast? I'm confused. Blast sounds like up. Um, uh, I or Ham would give you more direct advice, but I think they're going to make it volatile so we get shaken out. I think they're going to try to drive it down tomorrow. Trump has four rallies tomorrow. I think Kamala's going to get up, have breakfast, and maybe give a 5 minute speech where Beyonce uh, shows up and brings the crowd. I don't know. But I personally think DJT is going up. I think uh, it's a little like a rubber band. They sold it way off on Friday. There was the Iowa poll, which I think is fraudulent. There's now an Iowa poll showing Trump up by 15%. There's headlines all over that Kamala is winning and she's gaining, and people over 65 are voting for her. Women are voting for her because women love her. And, so maybe, but we'll find out. Um, I, if Trump were to win, let's say Wednesday morning, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I think DJT will go to 150 the next day. I do not think they're going to call the election. Although I'm going to go live with, I recommend you go to ACE. It'll be much better, but and a lot more fun. But I'll try to make it interesting and that with a phone. ACE is the real producer. But um, if Trump were to win Virginia, for example, or if pick one of them, they're cheating in Georgia, they're cheating in North Carolina, they're cheating in Michigan, they're cheating in Wisconsin. They're already manipulating and cheating in Arizona. Not as clear about Nevada, but they have a rule that will, after Tuesday, allow them to cheat. So he's going to have powerful performances. And if he were to get Virginia or New Mexico or Minnesota or New Jersey, oh my gosh, their cheating would have failed. And the even CNN and MSDNC will have to call the election. But uh, I don't think that's going to happen. I think I think Arizona won't have final results for a couple of weeks. The exception is if there's a blowout, big on Trump's side. Otherwise, they won't have results. Um, Michigan's already said they're going to take at least 24 hours. Uh, Wisconsin, I don't know. That guy may not cheat. Maybe. I don't know. Um, Pennsylvania is going to be a nightmare. They'll put up plywood. They'll start pulling bags out. They'll bring things in. Unless it's too big. Unless it's too big. Georgia, they're cheating now. And I don't trust Raffensperger or whatever his name is. Stacey Abrams is still down there. If he can overwhelm in Georgia, maybe we'll at least get that one and called early. North Carolina is too close to call. I don't understand that at all. Not at all. Kamala's not black, and the argument is African Americans are voting for her. I don't know why. She's not black. Is it just racism against whites? Oh, she's a little bit darker than all these monkeys out there. I don't buy that anymore. Maybe that was what motivated voting before, but I think we're all human beings. We all, regardless of the color of our pigmentation, we all have the basic, unfortunately, we all have the same fears, and insecurities, and troubles, and suffering. We all do. How it's set up. I don't buy it. I don't. But can they cheat in North Carolina? I'm not sure about that. Um, no, if they have a cheating, we know they cheated in Georgia last time, and we know they cheated in Pennsylvania. We know they cheat in Arizona and Detroit. Anyway, RW, if he wins and it's called Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, that stock is going to scream. But I don't. My brother's Matt gets mad at me, but I really think Kamala is going to be your next president. And if it doesn't happen at the election, she they all suckered Mike Pence into attaboy being a good boy. she's going to pull every trick she has as vice president to not certify the election. And then Liz Cheney's already destroyed all the evidence that she gathered in a sham Soviet style investigation. She destroyed it all. And so they'll continue to say that the FBI plants and the Antifa plants, who actually broke in to the Capitol and invited the others and then changed their hats and their uniforms. They're going to say that those were all felonies, but what Kamala's doing is okay because she's a woman. Remember, I think it's Marxist Leninism or Leninist Marxism or Marxism. The end justifies the means, and that's today's Democratic Party and the journalists, and justifies anything to keep Trump out. Because look what he did his first time in office. He rounded people up in concentration camps. He started wars. He put out policies that were anti-black, anti-Hispanic, anti-woman. He turned our country back to a vision of white male supremacy. So anyway, I think DJT is going to be volatile, obviously, and I think tomorrow, early in the day, is up because they want premiums. They want you to be buying them. The tougher question is how it trades during the after the election. Um, it's 30. I guess if they want more premiums, maybe they close it at 30 at the end of the week. But I don't see that. I might have my chart that I did might I might have drawn. I don't know if it's in there. I might have drawn too high support. Uh, yeah, I guess I did. Right around $34. Ah, look at this little green diamond here, back to 30. Ah, that pennant right there. That's where it broke out. So it came down here to test support. Somebody on here says there's a gap at $10. I don't see it. Oh, all the way down. It's not $10. It's 14. That's not it. That's not. I think this gap is more important here between 31 and 38. And yeah, I think pulling back like it did on Friday, as much as it sucks, makes sense. It just came back down to support. This was the breakout. If it rallies tomorrow and gets through, my number is 34, but maybe it's lower than that. Maybe it's higher. But anyway, if it breaks, clearly if it breaks through 35, 37, I think the stock goes to, uh, that's where I think it goes, 55, maybe some pauses, but I think 55, and it could close at 57.5. And if it really explodes, it's going to 80, 72, 80. That won't stop. It'll do it like this over here uh, last year, just straight up. It'll be like it'll be like that, that that elevator in the James Bond, uh, where the when he collapsed it and he went up, he just goes straight up. Trump is so powerful, the shorts would have already stopped shorting his stock since he will lose. His stock could go to zero. I could not even sell one stock for one share. Well, I doubt that. I think you could have sold you just didn't price it properly. I don't think his stock would go to zero by any means. I would say I don't know what the value is. Elon Musk paid 40 billion for Twitter. If you put those kind of numbers to Trump's stock, it's pretty big. I think Elon overpaid. But did he? But did he? Because he clearly did, but then he decided I'll go through with it because he has a much bigger vision on how to use that platform. What if he merged with Trudeau, or what if he bought him out? I'll drive it down. Yeah, they're trying tonight, aren't they? Um, it's going to just be a battle of more sellers and buyers, and obviously they can counterfeit shares, but it's institutional players, so the institutions can expand their buying power too, just not as much. It's a risky game. So it's going to be a lot of short-term traders. It's going to be Godzilla versus King Kong. It really is. I. It's a coin flip. If he looks like he's doing well in the morning, that stock's going up. But I think the system seems to believe that Kamala is going to be president, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I don't agree with a very nice person who pointed out that we'll be okay. I don't think we'll be okay. These ploys, um, what the what the what the bashers do, they try to look reasonable to you, and they hope to get me looking unreasonable, which sometimes I do look quite unreasonable. Mark French, last time shorts can try to scare you with a DJT. Yeah, that's right. That's actually a good point. This is the last time they can scare you. I mean, that's one theory. You could have other times, I suppose, if the election is this close, and then there's an announcement that Kamala won Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and uh, Michigan. Oh, no, I miss Gronk. I never even met Gronk. I miss him. He needs, if he lets, that's the problem. He won't let. My dog doesn't let. He's, I think, one of the game. I'm really getting scared, Steve. I have to decide to kill. But I don't want to. I don't want to. I do want to. So I might buy a wagon for him. He's asleep now. He still has good dreams, and he still in the morning is somewhat spry, and he loves his treats. His nose still works. I think a dog is just a nose with the rest of the body part. Seems like that's all they are is the nose. His back legs are really bad, and his front legs are not powerful. Thank you. My best to all of you guys. Hey, the woman. Yeah, Ham's got a dialect out of Brooklyn, and uh, once you get it, it's pretty clear to understand. But he pronounces things a little differently, and he's very rapid speaking. I've got to get this set up. All Louisiana. Hey, Colby, how are you? I wonder how things are going to go down in Louisiana. She's not going to cheat Louisiana. I worry about that state next to you. They constantly put Texas down as leaning. If we lose Texas, oh my gosh. Oh, well, anyway, we'll think about that tomorrow. Trump 24. Well, he'll actually become president. I don't know, Paulie. Um, I'm going to try to, and I took a list of questions from everybody here, but uh, there's a couple of predicates, and if not tomorrow, it'll be, maybe Tuesday's a bad day, so maybe it'll be Wednesday. But it's coming. It'll happen very soon. All right, almost done. All right, I think we've come to a good stopping point. I had more to go over, but I'm tired, and appreciate everybody's time. Um, After the election's over, I'm going to just try not to talk about it anymore. We just have to live with whatever happens, and even though the political parties don't do it, we have said it before, but I think it's true. Whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or independent, we all agree it's a free country. So let's start there. It's a free country, and we can talk to each other after the election. All right, peace, love, and happiness. Sleep tight. Don't let the